police, and certainly being able to neutralize the suspect in that period of time is great. However, it does go to show you that the weakness to that.
Bill, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm told that the president is just approaching the podium now in the East Room of the White House.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal? One of the best guys in the United States Congress, Ben Cardin. Folks, welcome to the White House. It's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all four of them? Well, stand up, guys.
John, we'll jump back in here. Considering the moment,
we were told that
the shooting that just happened left 3 children dead, 3 adults dead, shooters dead, and we were told he would be addressing this off the top.
Yeah, it's rather surprising. I thought that a somber President Biden would have come to the podium here and addressed this school shooting. He's yucking it up with the crowd at the East Room. So why don't we dump out of this, and when the president decides that he's going to address this, we'll jump back into it.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, it's a sad, sad, sad day in this country for multiple reasons. And that clip that you just saw right there was the alleged President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, yucking it up, laughing, in response to another mass shooting in this country that has resulted in the loss of life for children and adults. Now, in this situation right here, we have a Christian school, okay, that was the victim of a mass shooter, a lunatic who went into the school and decided to shoot it up for whatever reason. Now, in this situation, this story right here is going to go away quick, fast, in a hurry. You will probably not hear about it again after tonight because the shooter doesn't fit the narrative. And you guys should all know what I mean by now. But this one has a very, very, very interesting twist that we're going to talk about, because I think that there's some blame to be passed around here since the mainstream liberal media wants to play the blame game. Okay, I think there's some blame to be passed around here because their immediate knee-jerk reaction to the loss of life, to tragedy, is to try to score cheap political points by once again blaming the Republicans and guns for why this tragic mass shooting happened. Take a look.
Yeah, we just saw Andrew Clyde from Georgia, who was distributing those AR-15 pins, those rifle pins. That's him again, to a lot of members who were wearing them on the House floor, including George Santos of New York and Anna Paulina Luna of Florida. They were wearing them right here. You can see. I don't understand what might make you rethink your position if it's not going to be dead kids.
Dead kids didn't work in Newtown. Dead kids didn't work in Sandy Hook. Dead kids didn't really work in Uvalde. The NRA works. Their political power, their money that they make, the gun manufacturers' money, and that's what pushes the NRA. It's horrific to think that the Congress people won't adjust their thinking and do anything better than thoughts and prayers. I mean, that's what we've heard from people is praying. That's fine. But you got to do more than prayer. You got to get guns out of these people's hands and out of their access. And you're not going to stop all the killings, but you'll stop some of them. And it's just a matter of we don't need more assault weapons. We don't need more high-capacity magazines. We've got to have these red flag laws everywhere, because if there's a red flag out there, we need to take it and check these people out. That's another way to stop them. But right now in Congress, it's pathetic. It's hard for me to serve up there now with some of the people that I have to serve with. I mean, they're part of the danger. I mean, they could go. I'm not going to get into that, but it's just that they are so attached to guns, and there's no hope on them.
Yeah. So again, you have the mainstream liberal media that is blaming Trump and Republicans. Okay. Now remember, this was before some of the information that has come out now that we know in regards to this shooter and a possible motive. Now, again, the White House also, of course, joined in on blaming Republicans and guns as well, too.
We must do more, and he wants Congress to act because enough is enough. In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart. How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban, to close loopholes in our background check system, or to require the safe storage of guns? We need to do something. Once again, the president calls on Congress to do something before another child is senselessly killed in a preventable act of gun violence. Again, we need to do something.
Yeah, so keep in mind, these people knew nothing, right? They knew nothing about why this happened, how this person obtained the gun, or anything like that, or who this person was. They knew nothing, but the first thing they come out here and they scream is, we need more gun control, it's the Republicans' fault. Now that we do know who did this, okay, and we know more about them, again, expect the tables to turn here a little bit in regards to how the mainstream liberal media covers it, because the person that has been identified as the shooter is a 28-year-old transgender woman, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about who this person is and what their motive might have been. We're going to get into what the police have to say about this. But just know that MSNBC has already moved on to talking about the dangers of Trump.
Trump said if he's indicted, he said, quote, death and destruction will follow. Do you imagine there'll be death and destruction in the wake of Trump getting indicted?
No, I think that's hyperbole.
Not from our side. Potential death and destruction would be in terms of his political career. That's the way I interpret it.
Okay. Now, some people look at that picture and they think that that's Donald Trump threatening violence against a public official. When you see that picture, what do you think?
I think he sure has a sense of humor.
We're back with Mary McCord, Frank Figluzzi, Eddie Glott, and John Heilman, all, lucky for us, MSNBC contributors. So you went to Waco.
Those are the least alarming ones. The woman who talked about how she thought Trump was great to attack Alvin Bragg as a Soros-backed animal because George Soros is a Jew. That was the one that struck me as most, jumped out at me the most.
Yeah, so as you can see there, they're back to their regularly scheduled programming of smearing Trump and Trump supporters as bigots, right? Because they really don't want to talk about this anymore, okay? Because according to police, again, this person is transgender. They identify as transgender. And they also left a manifesto that may give us some idea in regards to their motives of why they went and committed a mass shooting at a Christian elementary school. Take a look.
Our investigations tell us that she was a former student at the school. I don't know what grade she's attended or grades, but we do firmly believe she was a student there.
Did she identify as transgender?
She does identify as transgender, yes.
Is there any reason to believe the shooter first went to the church before going to the school?
I can't give you that information. Unsure. We know that the minute the calls came in, we responded to the church, so to the school.
To the school.
Yeah.
Did you have was there two officers that went in when they first got there? Do you know how many there was when they first interviewed?
So it was 5 officers that immediately went in and addressed. We have video that we're going to release, but you can see in the video, you can hear gunfire going on as they're in the school. They address the threat and take that threat down.
And Chief, what do we know about her weapons?
So we know there were 2 AR-style weapons, one a rifle, another was an AR-style pistol, and the other was a handgun. We believe 2 of those may have been obtained legally, locally here.
Can you confirm that one of the adult victims, Catherine Priest, was head of the school?
Was what?
Was head of the school?
There was some, I don't know her exact capacity within the school, but it was higher up in the echelon.
And were any of the children victims related to any of the school staff?
Unsure. I believe one may have been, but I can't confirm that.
Did the shooter have any criminal history at all?
No history at all.
And no motive at this point? Anything discovered in the apartment or house?
No, we have a manifesto. We have some writings that we're going over that pertain to this day, the actual incident. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place. There's right now a theory of that we may be able to talk about later, but it's not confirmed, and so we'll put that out as soon as we can.
And Chief, is there any reason to believe that how she identifies with white?
I'm sorry, I knocked someone's mic over. I didn't hear you. Say that again, sir.
Is there any reason to believe that how she identifies has any motive for targeting the school?
We can give you that at a later time. There is some theory to that. We're investigating all the leads, and once we know exactly, we'll let you know.
So was this a targeted attack?
It was.
Do we know about a history of transgender man or woman?
Don't know any history of mental illness at this time, but we are looking at that as the investigation is ongoing. And I'm sorry.
Did she identify as a transgender man or woman?
Woman.
Was this the only school that was targeted?
It was the only school that was targeted. There was another location that was mentioned, but because of a threat assessment by the suspect, too much security, they decided not to. In that area.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. So I am going to read a little bit more about this person, the suspect, in this story, because obviously the mainstream liberal media is going to lose interest in this, right? They're not going to talk about this anymore. You're not going to hear much about it tomorrow or the day after that. It's going to go away because the person is allegedly a transgender person, right? And that doesn't fit the narrative. However, there are a lot of deeper questions that we must answer here about why would a transgender person shoot up a Christian school, okay? Is this a hate crime? Okay, because to me, that's kind of seems to be what it's leaning towards, especially considering the current political environment that we have. But again, I want to read more about the suspect here, and I just want to warn you guys that, you know, there's more information to come out. Right now, what I'm saying is just speculation, but hey, the left thought that it was not too early to speculate about guns being a problem or the issue, even though they had no clue how this person obtained guns, whether legally or illegally, whether they passed a background check or whatever. They don't know anything about anything, but they're blaming guns. But again, now that we actually know some more information, I think it's fair to speculate why this may have happened. And again, whether or not this was inspired by hate, because this is what you do, right? This is what the left does, so this is totally fine. So again, the shooter has been identified as Audrey Hale, who is apparently transgender. Let's read here. Nashville police identified the shooter who opened fire on Monday morning at the Covenant School as 28-year-old Audrey Hale, a transgender woman and former student at the private Presbyterian school. 3 children and 3 adults were murdered in the shooting, which began at roughly 10:13 a.m. and lasted for 14 minutes. Police identified the victims as Evelyn Dickhouse, 9, Hallie Scruggs, 9, William Kinney, 9, Cynthia Peak, 61, Catherine Cones, 60, and Mike Hill, 61. Again, rest in peace to those victims. Again, it's extremely sad. You know, when you have kids lose their lives as a result of, you know, mass shootings, and also adults as well, too. I mean, again, this is terrible. Thoughts and prayers with their families. Haley allegedly shot through a locked door to gain entry into the school while armed with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun, then climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor and opened fire. 2 Nashville police officers entered the school and went to the sounds of gunfire, where they fatally shot Haley around 10:27 a.m., according to police. Nashville Police Chief John Drake said that a nearby vehicle gave investigators clues to the shooter's identity. Haley's home address is about 3 miles away from the Covenant School, according to public records. The FBI, ATF, and local police cordoned off that home with crime scene tape on Monday afternoon. Investigators found a manifesto and other writings that they were looking into as they searched for a motive. Hand-drawn maps of the school with detailed entry points were also located at the residence. A LinkedIn profile and personal website that appeared to be affiliated with Hallie described her as a graphic designer who creates logos for businesses. She graduated from Nosy College of Art with a degree in illustration and graphic design last year, according to the LinkedIn profile. The Covenant School, which was founded in 2001, caters to preschool through 6th grade students and is located southwest of downtown in Nashville's Green Hills neighborhood. It wasn't immediately clear what years Haley attended the school. Female mass shooters are exceedingly rare in the United States, according to FBI data. of 61 active shooter incidents in 2021, 60 were perpetrated by males, and only one was carried out by a female. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure, right, if this person is actually a female or a male, okay? Because on the alleged LinkedIn profile of this individual, they had he, him pronouns, okay? Which would mean that they were a woman or a female that identified as male. So again, I think there's some confusion here. I'm not entirely sure. Again, there's more that will come out here to identify whether this person was actually female or male biologically. That's why it matters, right? It makes stories like this and stuff like this a lot more easy to talk about. But regardless, we do know that it was trans. So I got one question. Is the mainstream liberal media going to take responsibility for this? Because this, to me, seems to maybe be politically motivated, right? We know the conversations that we're having in this country right now involving so-called LGBTQ rights, okay? And this idea that somehow, some way, trans people are under attack from right-wing religious fanatics, right? They're saying that trans people's lives are in danger because people on the right don't want kids sexualized, okay? They don't want teachers talking to kids about sex in school. They don't want kids undergoing gender-affirming health care, okay? We also don't want biological men competing against biological women in sports. And they're all claiming, okay, they're screaming at the top of their lungs that trans people's lives are in danger, even though they have no evidence whatsoever to back that statement up, okay? Have no evidence whatsoever, right? But they're claiming that transgender people are under attack, okay, from people on the right. And again, my question is, did this rhetoric from the left radicalize this individual, right? Was this person radicalized to attack a Christian school because of rhetoric that they've heard from the mainstream liberal media about Christians or conservatives and their beliefs? Now, again, you know, just a few weeks ago, you had Honor Jane go on The View and basically call for violence against people who are pro-life. Did that motivate this? Y'all remember that time that Lori Lightfoot called for a call to arms, right? It's time to take up arms, according to Lori Lightfoot, because she didn't like a ruling that the Supreme Court made. Again, I'm not entirely sure, right? But again, this is the game that the left plays, right? Anytime a mass shooting happens and the suspect does fit the left-wing narrative, let's say that the person is a straight white male shooter, the first thing they resort to was this hate, was this white supremacy, was they a Trump supporter? Well, now I am basically asking the same question, because the left said that that's what you're supposed to do when tragic events like this happen, which is, you know, to ask political questions, which is, again, was this person radicalized by the left? Okay, were they radicalized by this false narrative coming from the left that transgender people lives are in danger because people on the right want to protect women's rights? Again, I got questions. I have questions, right? And again, this is the problem here. The problem is these people on the left continuously radicalize people in this country, and none of them are ever held responsible for. But all I hear day and night and day is about how people on the right, so-called white supremacists, are the radicalized people in this country, how they're such a danger. When again, I haven't seen many mass shootings committed by white supremacists. Now, we did see one out in Buffalo. Don't get me wrong, that definitely was a white supremacist mass shooting. But again, we have not seen as much so-called violence from the right as these people, the mainstream liberal media, are making it out to be. But we have continuously seen domestic violence and terrorism from people on the left, like, for example, Antifa, right? They're currently terrorizing Portland and Atlanta, right? We've seen acts of domestic terrorism from Roe v. Wade protesters, okay? We've seen the race riots. We've seen all that stuff. And again, when it comes to some of these mass shootings, it just so happens, again, I'm just stating the facts here, that the Colorado Springs shooter was non-binary. The Denver shooter identified as trans. The Aberdeen shooter identified as trans. And now this shooter is identified as trans. Again, I'm just saying here, right? This is what the mainstream liberal media does. They say, hey, we're seeing a pattern, right? We're seeing a pattern here. There's a problem, okay? But I guarantee you that they're not really going to ask, okay, is there a problem here? Considering how we're starting to see some pattern. We continuously see violence in response to left-wing rhetoric or left-wing extreme rhetoric. And again, none of these people are asking questions about, are we going too far, right? Are we going too far with trying to exaggerate and pretend like people on the right somehow are putting the lives of trans people in danger or attacking trans people? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous rhetoric. Again, the sad part, again, is that they're never held responsible for this stuff, no matter how many acts of domestic terrorism or people lose their lives as a result of left-wing radical rhetoric, right? This isn't the first time that we've seen a mass shooting that, again, could be because of some radicalized left-wing individual, okay? We've seen Republican Congress members be targeted, okay? GOP Congress members getting shot or being targeted at a congressional baseball game. In fact, there's just news that broke that Rand Paul's congressional staffer was just stabbed in broad daylight in Washington, D.C. Stabbed. We saw the BLM, the radical BLM activist, Joy Reid's friend, down there in Kentucky. Okay, he went and tried to assassinate a Democrat mayor. Okay, this was a radical left-wing BLM activist. This stuff is happening all over the place, and the mainstream liberal media, all they're concerned about is Trump, right? Trump is going to cause violence. He's going to cause violence in this country. Well, it seems to me the only thing I'm seeing in regards to who's committing the most violence or causing the most violence seem to be left-wing radical extremists, because they're radicalizing people with their rhetoric. And it's ridiculous. It's out of control. And at some point, these people need to be held accountable for the violence that they're causing. Now, again, I don't know exactly why this person did it. They have a manifesto. My gut feeling is that maybe in regards to the conversation regarding, gender affirming care or whatever that's going on. I mean, the state of Tennessee, just banned it for minors. That could be a part of it. And the framing from the left in regards to what they're telling people, how this is some type of assault on transgender individuals or that it's costing the lives of transgender individuals. I think that may probably more than likely have something to do with it. But hey, we need to wait for more information to come out to say definitively. I'm just saying that this story is going to disappear, that you're probably not going to hear more about it, but we got to make sure we keep talking about it because, again, we need to know what the actual motive was behind this shooting. So, again, rest in peace to those individuals and kids that lost their lives. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.